Okay, Salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the long lost podcast of Mind Heist.
Hey, hey. Like salam. Hello, everybody. It's been a while. We've come
Yeah,
out the other end of the trenches, haven't we?
yeah. Um, yeah, bro. So let's start with uh I think one of the benefits of the podcast for some of the listeners, alhamdulillah, is listening to some of the things that we experience ahead of them, right? So maybe they're 5 years younger than us or something like that. So
Mm.
I think compared to a lot of people, you're ahead of a lot of people because, like Barak, you just had a fourth baby. So, fourth child, or your wife did, I should say, to be technically correct.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
uh, and a lot of people don't ever have four kids, right? But to have four kids at your age as well, that's like, it's, I don't want to say unique, but it's a little bit rare, especially in certain countries and stuff. So,
Mm.
yeah, and you told me when the baby was born. I think you told me literally less than a week after the baby was born that um it was a lot, like it was quite different to three kids. So how are you finding it, bro?
We're getting there now, inshallah. But
Mm,
it's it's a huge jump, and I think the main thing is like all our kids are quite young, so 8 and
yeah,
under.
yeah.
The youngest one, 8, 5, and 2. He's going to be 3 next month, inshallah. And then obviously, Laith is the new baby. But having
Mm,
a 2 to 3 year old and a newborn, and then
mm,
it's a nice split. Like the other two are a bit older and they can kind of mostly do stuff on their own. But
yeah.
then it's just the dynamics of it all, and they're not being able to actually see each other anymore. Like I don't, I, we haven't, I feel like I haven't seen my wife in months.
Mm,
Because another thing is like they used to go to bed early, so we could say, "Oh, we got the evening." Well, now you got a baby that wakes up all the time, and then you've
mm,
also got the eldest son, like Suleiman. He's praying now, so we're trying to get him to pray every prayer, which means he stays up till Aisha, which means he's always awake. Then the Ilyas, who's just younger than him, is also competing. He's like, oh, I'm not going to stay in my room on my own. I want to be awake as well. So they're both awake. And then
ah,
well, Aisha's what, I don't know, let's say around 9ish. And by that
mm,
time, my wife's knackered. She wants to go to bed. So she goes to bed. I stay up so cause I can carry on with the night
mm,
feeds till like morning. Then when I go to bed, she wakes up and it's like, oh, see you next week.
mm.
Anyway, it's
Yeah,
fine. It's great. No, but there is a blessing there, and it's an incredible investment. And if you haven't heard, it's 4 boys now. Alhamdulillah. The elusive
yeah.
girl refuses to reveal herself. So whether we go for a fifth or not, that's all up in the air. But it's not out of the question, I don't think.
So now that you're in the thick of it in that sense, I mean, obviously you have to always, this is what I found. You have to always tell yourself that you'll kind of like you called it an investment. It's a little bit like that in terms of you're you're having all the kids close together so
Yeah,
that you reach that point where they're all whatever 5 years old or older um together, right? Kind
yeah,
of thing, right?
yeah.
And then you hope it'll be easier at that point. Um, what are you thinking about that strategy versus, for example, I think it was my wife's aunt. She was telling her, I had all my kids very spaced out and there was no issue with it.
Yep.
Like have one baby and then 5 years later have another baby and 5 years later and really spread it out. And then you never have like more than one kind of baby or
Mm.
toddler at the same time. So what do you think about, obviously it's not within our control, but it's something that
Yeah.
we do take actions towards, one
Yeah,
or
of
the
course.
other. So what are your thoughts on that?
I've always had advice given to me by my family, especially my mum, who my mum and dad, who said, they wish they had them younger. Like I remember my dad being much older than me.
Mm,
My dad, my mum and dad, it wasn't my dad's first marriage, and he had a daughter before me,
yeah.
who's like around 10 years older than me. Um, so I grew up with my dad feeling much older than me, and there was disconnect there and everything. But also, I mean, look, my dad's passed away now, not necessarily from old age, but from age related cancer or something, and he died at 66. So I was doing the comparisons. I was like, okay, if Suleiman's at this age, hypothetically, or like I would be this age, and oh, actually, that's great, that's amazing. I'm still young, and then it made me think, like, sometimes my wife will look at me and say, "Oh, are we ever going to get time to ourselves?" and this and that, like, as a joke or whatever. We're going to see each other again. But then I'm thinking, well, you know what?
You went to school and you studied English, science, you studied maths. Then you went to university, studied engineering, economics, maybe computer science. But where along the line do you ever learn about how to be a man of character, how to be a man that takes action, how to have a resilient mindset, and to build yourself to become a man that you're proud of, especially the Islamic way? Because a lot of men, when they want to learn how should a man act in this situation, especially in 2025, they will either end up going left side to the feminism or right side to the red pill. Well, I wrote a book specifically that cuts through both of those, and it just goes to the source, to Islam, to show you how to be a man of character according to Islam. I've got a free chapter for you in the description. Click that link, check it out, and if you like it, you can get the whole book.
In 10 years' time, he's going to be this age, they're going to be this age, they're going to be this age. In 15 years' time, they might all be capable. We can start our cruise trips back in that time. We'll still be young, still be capable.
Yes.
I'll probably still be benching in the gym. Like, it will still be fine. So it's like they'll be, old enough to kind of handle themselves and handle each other. And we'll be young enough to still, essentially engage with them in a manner that is enjoyable, and also relate to them in a manner that is understanding, and live our lives still and do the things that we maybe missed out on with maybe even more comfort and financial security and whatever, because we'll be a bit more established and stuff. So spreading them out, I think it takes your health for granted, I think, to spread them out, because you could have the intention to spread them out, then suddenly, you have a health problem, or you're just not fit enough to have children anymore. A woman might not be able to conceive anymore. I must admit, we had Suleiman within the year that we got married. So clearly we had an intention to have children as soon as possible. And I think, it's hard to say now, oh, look at me, I'm benefiting from the fruits of that decision, because we're still going through it. But I can definitely be a day where I look back and be like, oh, I'm so glad I did. I can't ever see that I would regret it. You know what I mean? Because if something happened to me now, or if something happened to my wife, and I'll be like, oh, alhamdulillah, at least, we had our kids young, My dad used to say that he wished he had another, like, not another son, because I was bad. He wished he had more sons or more children to kind of assist me with, like, look at me now, like running around in Tunisia on my own and stuff, or, with my mum, at least. Sorry, not on my own, but the only man running around on doing the men's side of things. It's like, I've had a brother, we could take it in turns, or we could share that load or whatever. And now I've got, alhamdulillah, 4 sons. I'd like to think I wouldn't have to lift a finger soon. Give it like 10, 15 years, inshallah, I'll probably never have to drive again for a long time.
That's true. And that's like how people used to see it, right? In terms of having kids is actually a very functional thing.
100%.
I suppose, especially boys, especially. But I mean, if you're living that like farming lifestyle, I mean, women get fully involved in that as well. So yeah, man, for sure. And it really hits home when I think of, for example, my uncle on my mum's side. He's like been divorced for a long time, and he had one daughter, and he's old now, and he's in his 70s, and he's not got the best health, and he's just got one daughter in the end. So when I think about that, and I think about, okay, like my mom is like Irish, right? So Irish people, like, the culture is a little bit more conservative than English people, and they had a bit more family values, or you could say the family values have lasted a bit longer than in the average English household. But nonetheless, I don't know who would like look after my uncle. I mean, Yeah, I mean, he's okay now. He loves traveling, by the way. He's been to like, I don't know, 50, 60 countries.
Mm.
Uh, and he still travels to this day now and then. Like he'll find like a £20 flight to what are those islands like off Spain, like Madeira or something like this. Or the Madeira is
Yeah.
Portugal. But anyway, these kind of islands, and he'll do like treks. Like he loves that
Right.
kind of stuff, and hikes and treks and nature and stuff like that. So he'll do
Yeah.
that like on his own, you know. And he's always been doing it on his own for, for the last few years and stuff. But yeah, I'm sure like a day will come when he can't really do that. He needs
Mm.
someone to look after him. And then there's always that question like, oh, who's going to look after you? Even my grandfather, like my mum's dad, because my grandmother on that side, she died quite young from a heart
Right.
attack. But my grandfather, in the end, when push came to shove, and he was quite ill, he was in his 80s and all that, he only had my mum to look after him,
Mm.
just because of I don't know, the dynamic of the family. Or my uncle, I don't know, he was living in London, like living further away, and it just was what it was, you know. But
Mm.
imagine you had four sons or whatever, some daughters, some sons, whatever. You have four, you have five, you have six. It's quite different. My grandmother, like on my dad's side, she had five sons and two daughters, right?
Right.
So she would mostly, in her old age, she would mostly be with one of my uncles. But then, now and then she would spend a month or whatever in her daughter's house or another daughter's
Yeah.
house, and the load gets spread around a bit. Allah yarhamha. So,
Mm.
this is, I think it's something. Honestly, I think we forget about this kind of dynamic. Like this is the reality, bro. It's just
Mm.
that it's coming for us in who knows how long, if we're still alive in a few decades. But you can, if you think about it, you can see it with your parents or whatever right now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It is a dying sort of trend, if you want to call it a trend, to have more than two kids, I suppose. You see it fewer and fewer. Like Tunisia, for example, it's generally they just tend to have two kids. My cousins there, both of them have two kids. A few of my Moroccan cousins also have two kids, but some of them have already just got married, so they're yet to have kids, etc. Everybody's got boys like out of my like Moroccan side of the family and everything. Like all my cousins have boys. So we used to say, oh, maybe there's like a big war coming on and we're going to need manpower or something. Maybe that's the qadr Allah has written for us. But yeah, like, it made me think, because in terms of me and my surname, I was like after my dad, I was the last male to have that surname, like in that family. So like for a split second, our lineage could have just expired there, that side of the family in a way. But no, like we just said, like we've got strength in numbers now, alhamdulillah. As far as like a mindset to have, though, you do need a particular type of mindset. I think alhamdulillah, me and my wife work really well together, and we're on really same page with things. And she comes from a big family herself, in the sense that she's familiar with, like, she's got lots of uncles and aunties and stuff, and that environment of like, oh, big family. Like we were watching our wedding videos the other day, and it's like, oh my god, your family's huge. Like that, so like that isn't like intimidation to her. That isn't like something really scary and new and whatever. It is tough, don't get me wrong. There are days where she finds it really difficult and stuff, but we're there to support each other. It's not a walk in the park. Some days you just want to like tear your hair out, because like just right now, just before I recorded the podcast, oh, I'll do it at this time because the older boys are away. We've got the little two here. Okay. Later, about to wake up, she's going to go up to him, or maybe try and have a nap. Khalil, who is pretty independent now, even though he's like 2.5, 3 years old, goes upstairs, pees on his bed, just straight. Like, even though he's like toilet trained or whatever, he's just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm peeing on the bed. So like, I went out to just put the water bottle outside so they don't need it, and I just see her like carrying him down. He's peed himself. Oh my God, it's like, it's just constant. There's always something, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, not to drag on to this point too much, it's trying to give each of the kids their attention, and not let anyone
that's
feel
tough.
like they're
That's
neglected.
tough.
Yeah,
I've been
And
feeling that recently because
really,
my eldest started like acting up a lot recently, and my wife notices because we're not giving him as much attention, you know, as
Yeah.
we used to. And so when we focused on that, literally for 3-4 days, it improved immediately, you know. And then I'm always aware of the middle child not getting much attention, right? So, and he's in a bit of a difficult stage, like age group in terms of toddler and all that. So yeah, there's a lot. And you know what's been annoying me recently is you can't, because of the age of kids I have, right? Like 6, 3, and 1.
Yeah.
For example, I can't do 6-year-old stuff with the 6-year-old because the other 2 will like come and ruin it, or vice versa with all. So it's all mixed up. You have to isolate them purposely in order to, you know what I mean? Like literally, bro, my 1-year-old daughter, let's say we'll be like building something, okay? So the 2 boys, they're old enough to play that same kind of thing together where they might be building something. And then my daughter will just come and just smash it all.
Yeah.
She just, that's her thing. She's not in building phase right now. She's just in destruction phase.
Goodness. Yeah, I can imagine. Oh, it's tough, man, because you become really acutely aware of their personality differences as well. Like, I think Suleiman gets a lot of pressure on him because he's the oldest and we expect more of him.
Yeah.
And then we forget that he's only, God, I'm forgetting all their ages now. He's 8. Yeah. He's only 8.
The son is 8, bro.
Yeah, I know. He's only 8. And it's like, oh, but then at the same time, you know, he does want to be independent. He does want to make all his brothers breakfast in the morning. You know, he does get really chuffed when he's achieved something great. He's doing Arabic tutoring at the moment. He's got Arabic school on like the weekends, but then he also, I've signed him up to literally, I realized the importance of having an external teacher, especially for Arabic, because it removes that kind of element of being able to mess about a little bit and not focus, like whether I'm teaching him or his mum's teaching him. So I literally hired a tutor from Egypt, Stel Muhammad, brilliant man, you know, it's really, it's no nonsense kind of thing. And I was like, you know what, that's what Suleiman needs. Like he needs someone to just, bro, his Arabic, mashallah, is just out of nowhere. It's just improved significantly. Like I could just give him Quran now and he's just
reading. Is that like one-on-one lessons?
Yeah, and he's only doing like 30 minutes twice a week. You know, initially he was doing an hour, but it was a bit too much for him because it was late at night and he was getting sleepy and whatever. But yeah, it's just incredible how much that has just accelerated his ability to read way beyond what I could read at his age. And I don't think he knows. I don't think he realizes how much he's achieved. And I'm like, okay, you know what? This is manageable, especially now with the internet. Like maybe I can do, you know, it's cost effective. Obviously, we're paying the prices that the Ørsted charges, etc. And it allows us to, okay, for those 30 minutes, he's got his lesson upstairs, right? Let's see what we can do with this one and this one. And I don't mind that. Like initially I felt guilty, like, oh, I should be the one teaching him. Oh, why am I paying for someone else? But then I realized there's actually a really good benefit because there's that separation element. Like you're with someone you can't, you know, you see them as the teacher, me as your father. I'm going to teach you things, but I'm not your Ørsted. You know, that kind of thing.
It's got to be element as well as learned.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think I convinced myself in the end it was the right thing to do.
100%. The only thing I would like want to hold on to maybe is the Quran for the edge of it and stuff. But even then, with Quran, you have to like do it daily and you have to really be on top of it. And so if you're like busy and stuff, you're in the end, your child might just suffer in their progress because of your inability to stick with it with them. So, and obviously the people more qualified than me to do that as well. So you can still be involved, I suppose, with the Quran side, with revision or with just reading together and stuff. And of course you get the edge of in initiating that tutor and stuff in the end. But
Yeah, there's more. Obviously, I do a muraja with him and stuff, so he'll always have a bit of homework from the tutor, and I'll do that with him 9 times out of 10. But yeah, it's interesting. But like you said, the dynamics of you said your daughter is in a destructive phase, and like with my kids, like I said, Suleiman's got a bit more of a leadership element to him, and he wants to lead his brothers, and they want to follow him. He wants to do things independently all the time. Elias wants everything done for him all the time, and he's very emotional. Like it's interesting how they all react to being told off as well. Khalil is just like a tornado, bro. He wants to copy his eldest brother in everything. He wants to copy everyone in everything they do. He wants to do, and he's just bulletproof. Khalil is bulletproof. That's how I'd describe him. He can just leap off of things and not break a sweat. You could tell him off, and he'll just laugh at you. And then obviously Laith is just really gassy and burping and farting. That's all he can do at the moment. But no, I was going to say, like, Suleiman, you tell him off and he won't shed a tear and he'll really hold it in. He's a bottler. He'll bottle things up, Ilyas, the slightest thing, and he's crying. It's game over. He's in tears. He says, sorry, a million times. And Khalil, tell him off. And he just looks at you, smiles, and starts laughing. And it's like, no, don't do that again. And he's like, you take him away, separate him, speak to him properly. He giggles, and then he'll say he won't do it. He comes back into the living room. He does it again, like bulletproof.
Sounds
so
like
it's
my
like,
3-year-old.
oh, there you go. And you convince yourself that you're doing the right thing and you're trying your best. But I'm actually convinced that it's all qadr Allah, 90% of it. It's not necessarily about how you raise people, how you raise the kids. It's just, I watched some psychologist once talk about it, how he said, like, we underestimate how much genetics plays a role into personality and, a lot of stuff. Most of it is genetics and most of it is nothing to do with how you raise them and stuff. There is going to be elements of it, but, it's interesting how you can have 3 or 4 kids raised in the same household by the same parents, but all come out and all act out completely differently. Because of that,
they all seem to have like unique personalities from the get-go, right? But what I think about is the way I react to those will actually have, how do you say it, basically snowballs from there. So if one of them is more rebellious, if I react in a very confrontational way to that, now I'm going down a certain path. And if I'm less confrontational, maybe softer or whatever, then I'm going down a different path with that. And that might make them more rebellious, less rebellious, whatever it is, Yanni.
Yeah.
But you have the initial personality that they have and they're going to have, and it just seems to be determined that way. But then you have the way you react to it, and that could cause whatever down the line.
What I would say, the biggest lesson I've learned is just how important it is to just have 2 parents. 2 parents that are on the same page, that are not butting heads, because I don't know how single parents do this. I don't know how adversarial parents do this. There's a vast array of different families out there, especially in the Muslim community. I've seen Muslim husbands with non-Muslim spouses. I've seen single fathers, single mothers. I've seen both Muslim parents, but very adversarial and at each other's sort of throats, so to speak, and all completely different perspectives on what's right and what's wrong and what should be done. And I just can't imagine doing what we're doing without having that. And that's my only advice is like, I think if you're on the same page, you're going to be fine, because no kid is going to overcome 2 parents that are sort of together on 90% of issues, right? But if you've got...
Have you ever bought something from a shop and then you want to return it, you want to get your money back, but you just keep delaying actually going back to that shop to return it, give the receipt and get the money back? This is what might be happening if you're procrastinating. You've got something that you can really make a big go at. You can achieve big things in your life, but you keep putting it off until one day it'll be too late. If that's you and you're a Muslim man and you've got big ambitions for your life, but you're not taking action on them, you're procrastinating about it, then check out my YouTube channel, because every single video there is for people like you, to help you. So check out the link in the description and you're going to enjoy those videos if that sounds like you.
Maybe the first weakness you can have is maybe a father who is too lenient or a mother who is too lenient on particular issues, or, you know, oh, but daddy said I could, or my mummy said I could. Like, say, ask me something, I'll tell them to ask their mum first, because I need to know what she said first. Right? You know what I mean? I don't want to. I might not see an issue with it, but I'm like, go ask your mum, and then she'll be like, go ask your dad. I'm like, oh, okay. So then I'll make a decision.
Yeah.
But it has
Yeah.
to be that
I think
way.
I take some of that stuff for granted, maybe, because
Yeah.
I don't know. I think me and my wife are very on the same page. So
Okay.
yeah, if we weren't, I mean, sometimes there's very small things we're not on the same page. Like the one example, Yanni, I don't know. I don't think obsessed is a fair word to use, but my wife would say I'm obsessed with like car seats and safety in the car.
Okay. Yeah.
And my wife's kind of like very chill with that. Like I used to in Turkey before I had a car, if we were to go get a cab somewhere, I would like bring the car seats, right? Because I'm just very like, I don't know, I've just got it in my head, but I believe this is factual, that cars are pretty much the most dangerous thing that we interact with on a regular basis. Extremely dangerous, bro. Probably more, not probably, I would almost say definitely, there's more injuries or deaths of children from car crashes than, I don't know, knives at home, for example. But with knives, we're like, oh, don't touch the knives, keep the knives away from the kids. But then you get in the car and just like, just throw a seatbelt on. Seatbelts like on their neck there, like, you know. So that's one thing, and it's just a little example. It doesn't cause issues.
No,
I'm just saying it's the little thing.
Well, that's a good segue actually, because last time I was in Algeria driving, my father-in-law said, "Here you go, drive us back from Tizi Ouzou today to Algiers." I'd never seen that kind of driving in my life. I felt like I was driving in an asteroid field, and I was going to get smashed up by a giant hunk of metal. So, how's day going, Habibi? How is it? How's it going?
Alhamdulillah,
You never
bro.
said. You said you're leaving Turkey before. Is that the last episode? You said you announced you were leaving.
Yeah, I reckon that was probably a few days before I traveled. Yeah.
Yep.
So when the timeline is that I applied for the renewal of my residency 2 weeks before the expiry, and then a week before the expiry, I was informed that it was rejected. And then on the date of expiry, my family left Turkey to the UK.
Right.
And I stayed another 3 weeks.
Right.
So I stayed another 3 weeks to sell all our stuff. And I was going to stay 2 weeks, but I stayed 3 because I had applied for my kids' Algerian passports. And I thought, let me grab those before I leave. You know, I don't want to leave them there. Who knows what will happen to them. In the end, although I waited 3 weeks, it still hadn't arrived. So I just had to leave without them. And because I overstayed 3 weeks, I had to pay a fine at the airport before leaving. But other than that, it was okay. I maxed out the extra luggage. Like I paid for the max luggage you can get. It was like me and my sister. So we had 50 kilos each. So we maxed it out with all the stuff we could fit. A lot of like kids' books and toys and stuff like that. Books are very heavy, bro.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, then we got to Algiers. My brother, alhamdulillah, is here. He's got a car that he brought from the UK. So he was able to pick us up. And I just spent about 3-4 days purely driving around Algiers and just getting to know it a bit. Because I never spent time in Algiers. I think, let me think, a long time ago, I was here for like half a day. And then last October, I was here for my brother-in-law's wedding. But we didn't really have time to check anything out. We were kind of staying a little bit on the outskirts, and we came into the city for the wedding, and we came out, and that was kind of it, you know? So this was the first time I was like fully like going around different neighborhoods. I did some research before coming so that I would have certain neighbors I wanted to check out. But I would say within 3-4 days, I got an idea of, okay, this area is like this area is like this.
Yep.
I had some, positive surprises and negative. So since I arrived now, it's probably been No, bro, it's actually been more than a month.
Mm.
It's somewhere between 1 and 2 months, somewhere between that. Because after checking the place out and then deciding on an area and then renting a place, and then getting some basic like appliances, then I went to the UK to bring my family. I went to the
Yep.
UK for like 2 days.
Yep.
So since I went to get my family, it's been about a month. So that means I've probably been here 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that. But there's a lot. I don't know. I had a strategy of what I'm gonna do, you know. So I started with, before I arrived, with some online research, with asking people, and
Yeah.
then when I got here, I went to like those neighborhoods, and I just tried to get a vibe for them. One thing I noticed immediately, even though they told me that the traffic is not that bad in August because everyone's on holiday and stuff, a lot of people are not. Yeah, they're not following the normal routine of going to work or schools or whatever. But the traffic was like a little bit bad. But I went to all different neighborhoods. I found a lot of the neighborhoods are very tight, very packed in. And I think that's probably a general theme of Algeria, but Algiers especially, because obviously a lot of people move to Algiers for the economic opportunities, is that there's no planning of the city, right? And obviously I'm a student of city planning and stuff. There's no, I would say the planning is a little bit absent. I think what happens, and this happens in a lot of developing countries, is people will either buy land or they'll literally just take land, like just, use land. They'll build on it, and then the government has to play catch up. So it's like, oh, all these people have built houses here. Oh, now we need to put the gas. Now we need to put electricity. Now we need to put roads. And so it's not done the opposite way, which is like, for example, I spent most of my life in UAE. In the UAE, it's the opposite. It's like the government have decided this area is now open for development. We're going to build the roads. We're going to put the sewage systems. We're going to put the internet cables, all of that. And these are the plots of land. And, oh, this area has enough space for, I don't know, 10,000 people. So therefore we need this many masajid, we need this many schools, we need this many, we need this many police stations. It's all like, it's the opposite, I would say. It's extremely planned. And in Algeria, it's not really planned. So because of that, that's why you get a lot of tightness, a lot of, like the roads are very packed because it's not been planned in advance, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I was kind of looking for areas that are a little bit more open, because even Istanbul, by the way, most of Istanbul is tight, right? Because it has that similar phenomenon of lack of planning. The newer areas of Istanbul are planned, and the area I was living in was very well planned. That's why it was so sick. That's why it was so open, and there were a lot of parks and masajid and all of that. But But over here, I was like looking for areas. Like there's some areas I found that are newer areas and they're a bit more open, but it just seemed a bit dead. Like not too much going on. And also, I was getting a bit worried. I'm like, not seeing any kids in the streets playing. I'm like, where are all the kids?
It depends where you go. What area are you in now then?
So I'm in an area called Draria, which is a suburb. It's not like central or anything. Like the old city of Algiers is, I think, because the old city in it, so it's a bit packed and a bit, the buildings are older and stuff like that. I you know what happened, bro? I'll tell you how I found this area. So I heard of maybe 5 areas. I went to them.
Yeah.
And obviously there's only so much you can know from just visiting for a few hours or whatever. But I went to one masjid because there's a sheikh that I came across on YouTube and I liked his vibe. So I was like, let me pray Jummah in that masjid. When I prayed Jummah in that masjid, I was like, whoa, this masjid is quite like active. Like I could tell it's quite active. And so I decided I got my first Airbnb for like 5 days in a place called Ouled Fayet. So I was there, and that felt like a village, right? So it's a suburb of Algiers, but it had a village feeling. It's like you could tell that this was a village not long ago. And then that place where the masjid that I prayed at, I really liked it. So I was like, okay, let me get an Airbnb in this area and check it out. When I got Airbnb in that area, I was like, yeah, this is nice. So you see, like I'm literally like it's half blind and half like just trying to go with whatever vibe I get. And I spoke to some people in the masjid, and this is obviously the benefit of being like from the country. You could like speak to people and ask people stuff. Because in Turkey, I got there and I knew one or two people there already, so they pretty much guided me on everything. But coming here, I didn't know anybody, right? But I was able to like at least ask in the masjid or whatever. So they were telling me that, look, this is one of the most active masajid in the city, in the whole city. And this area is one of the best areas and blah, blah, blah. So they, obviously there might be bias. They're born and raised in this area, whatever. But they explained to me that there's durus in this masjid every single day. There's hifz al-Quran for kids. There's all sorts of stuff. And I also noticed that there was like, I think it's called Jam'iyyat al-Ulama al-Muslimin or something. There's like an organization in that same neighborhood. So I was like, okay, it seems like a good neighborhood. And I was staying there anyway, in the Airbnb there for a while. So I got to know it a bit more. And so I liked that area. But then when I was looking for apartments, I just ended up being a little bit further away, like 10 minutes drive from that area, in an area a bit south of that. So I'm still within, I could pray Jummah there. I could attend the durus there.
Right.
But I'm in another area. So yeah, then I basically, there's a website, like a directory website where you can find rentals called Wed Knis. So I was like using that. And then I also went to, a couple of estate agents, who I was surprised that they were very like professional and they're very friendly, Andy, and professional and stuff like that. And they helped me. One of them helped me find a place. And I was like, kind of like, I can't make perfect decisions. I just got to make like good enough decisions. I've got to move quickly. But alhamdulillah, the place I found, I get also with price. I'm like, Algiers, by the way, is shockingly expensive. Like the rent, if I was to say, what's like a random city in the UK? Let's say Northampton. I don't know, Northampton, Leicester, something like that. If I was to say Leicester rent is £1,000 a month, and London rent is £8,000 a month, you'd be like, what? 8 times?
Right. Yeah.
But that's what it's like here, bro. The rent here can be 8 times the price, 5-6 times the price of other cities. So it's very expensive. I don't know how people pay it. Like, I guess, maybe they have both a man and his wife both working. Maybe people have some good jobs, whatever, different government jobs, etc. But wow, obviously, if you want, you can get much cheaper than what I'm paying. But you just might end up in like government housing, and everyone advised me not to go over there. They're like, you have all sorts of people over there, and some people you just want to avoid. And the quality of the housing sometimes is very problematic. So yeah, I'm just like, alhamdulillah. That my motto of moving to Algeria is like, use the money I have to avoid a lot of the problems that people face.
I was looking.
So yeah,
I'm looking at the map now, and you're very far from where I was, where my in-laws are from. Like I don't know if you ever went near the port. They're like right next to the big port with all these big oil tanks.
So that's basically the Algiers, like central area.
Literally, yeah. I'm looking at the road now, and
that's the original whole city. Okay.
And
that area, by the way, has a vibe, bro. It's very nice. It's like to visit, but I don't know if I would want to live there.
Yeah, and they live in like one of them old. They've got
old
the
French
street where
building.
It's like exactly, yeah. So it's like definitely like it felt like I was in the that movie, The Battle of Algiers. Felt like I was walking through the set, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, just looking at it from a bird's eye view, looking at how that side of the city is organized into this like weird cookie cutter, like bunched up, and then looking at where you said Dararia is, it's very much more. It looks much more organized, much more. It looks like there's some level of planning that went into it. Yeah. So apart from the logistics of it all, You know, how you feeling, bro? Because my wife messaged me. She's very excited about this episode, by the way. Obviously, as an Algerian.
Oh, okay. I have to deliver.
She loves, but I think she might have seen something that your wife posted or something, and she said, "Oh, Amin's wife looks like she's over the moon that she's in Zayed and stuff." So I was really, interested to see how you're feeling. Like, how do you feel being there?
It's good, bro. It's good. I would say my initial feeling was like quite positive, because I was just like, okay. But by the way, I have a bit of a complex about how fluent I am in Arabic and stuff. Even though, like, I know deep down my Arabic's like good and stuff. Of course, people know I'm not born and raised here, just because, you know, even if I say the words, my pronunciation might be different to their pronunciation, especially because even the Derija I speak is from the west of Algeria, so people will know straight away I'm not from here. But the main thing is I can communicate. But I have a bit of a complex about it. But at the same time, you know, if I go to a shop, if I try and buy furniture or whatever, I can express myself and understand stuff. So that was very refreshing, because everybody will interpret a country or a situation based on where they're coming from, right?
Yep.
So coming from Turkey, it's crazy that people are much friendlier here, and they seem to be a bit more helpful as well. Yeah. And also the fact that I can just speak to any random person, rather than in Turkey, where literally, bro, it's kind of embarrassing. Someone might come up to me in Turkey after living there 4 years, and they're like asking me for directions, and I literally can't even explain. You know, it's kind of bad. But here, you know, it's different in that sense. So that was good. I was pleasantly surprised with some of the professionalism. Like, you know, like when I rented a place, we went to the notary and we signed the contract, and people, they seem to be bothered and interested in following the actual terms of the contract. And also, like, there's certain things which, again, coming from Turkey, coming from UAE, it's very normal to me. But maybe if I was coming from the UK, it would be a bit like, whoa. For example, my rental contract says I'm paying X, the rent is X, but I'm actually paying 2X, right? And they do that to avoid paying taxes. So if I was coming from the UK, I might be like, oh, this is not proper and this is not right. And that's true, it's not right. But because I'm coming from Turkey, I'm like, I know that they did that in Turkey as well, like stuff like that, you know. Likewise, the driving, you were mentioning the driving. I drove a little bit in my brother's car, and I don't know this, but he said, you're driving aggressively, like you seem to be used to this a bit. But but he's always complaining about the driving here, I guess because he was living in the UK before coming here. So stuff like that. So a lot of it is like where you're coming from. But however, like, since I've brought my family over here and we have to like try and get into a normal living situation, I have struggled with a lot of the inconveniences of being here. Like what? Like, even, bro, just getting shopping is pretty tough without a car. Like, if you don't have a car, it's pretty tough, because walking distance from me, there's a butchers, there are people like on the street that sell fruit and veg. That's all fine. But for example, my son was ill and my wife asked me to get honey. Bro, there's nowhere that will sell honey. There's a little supermarket.
Really? Yeah.
But I'm just talking about within walking distance, right?
Yeah, of course. There's
a little supermarket. Like, it's like it's not even like Tesco Express level. It's like less variety than that. So that's what we've got to deal with without driving, you know. So having a car is absolutely essential, and I don't have a car right now. So you've got taxis and stuff.
I was going to say.
And I was reluctant to like use. I don't know. I just don't really like taxis. But the other day, in order to get some stuff, I got a cab to like a more central kind of shopping area, and I got some stuff. But it's like you go to one place, then you have to get a cab to another place, then another place. And sometimes you go to a shop and it doesn't have, like most shops here, they're just like one guy opened a shop on his own, right? It's not like a conglomerate or whatever. So he might have a small shop, and therefore he doesn't have much variety. And therefore you might want to buy, I don't know, a saucepan. He's like, I got one saucepan. You want it? Or you don't want it, right?
Fancy.
But then because of that, you might end up going 3-4 shops, which means
Mm.
3-4 cabs. All right. So you
Yes.
see how it can get a bit long logistically. And the other day, so I bought some bulky stuff, right? And I'm trying to bring it back. So I get all the stuff. I come out the shop, then I go to the app to get a cab, like Uber style.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay.
And no one will pick me up. And I tried
Mm.
2 different apps, and no one would come. Maybe I think they were worried about traffic, so no one really wanted to come. So now I'm like stuck. If I don't really know how the buses work, but I'm guessing a bus might take hours, or I don't know, a long time to get home. Taxis are like don't want to bring me.
Can't you hail a cab? Don't they have that? Just,
Well, yeah, you could, but I didn't see many. Well, they're just like
Really?
cabs,
Oh, okay.
like driving around. Maybe they're not that obvious. It's not like they're all one color. They have a little sign on the top of
Oh.
one. Maybe I wasn't even looking out for that, to be honest, because I just thought, okay, the app will have more variety, more choice, because they're within 5-10 minutes drive. All of those cabs
Yeah.
I can choose from. Anyway, then I'm like, damn, what am I gonna do? So I start walking to an area where maybe there's a bit less traffic, so they might be more willing to pick me up. And so I get to that place. It was like 20 minutes, and the bags I'm lifting ripped, and it was mad.
Oh, no.
I get to that place, and then I open my phone to check for cabs there. And then random guy was just like, yo, bro, do you want a cab? And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Like, he's not a cab, obviously. He just got a car.
Yeah.
He just happened to have a car. So I just used him. So that's basically,
That's the way it is,
that's
isn't
a
it?
taster. That's a taster of the situation.
It's the North African experience, bro. And once I've mentioned it many times about just struggling for transport in Tunisia, but because it's a familiar neighborhood and a familiar area for me, it's just okay. Get the taxi, go to this town. All right, I know how this. Like, I know how it works, but I know exactly how it would feel to not know where everything is and to just have to figure it out and transport and getting stuck somewhere. Like, one thing that always happens is, like, we've got our main town, but then there's a bigger town, Jandouba, which is it's like the capital of the wilaya, so it's a bigger town. You go over there. There's taxi services called Louages, more like shuttle services almost. They go from that town to Boursalem, where we're from, back and forth. There's loads in the morning from Boursalem to Jandouba, but people are fighting over it. They're literally punching each other for it and stuff. You finally get one. You get there. If you're too late, or if you're too early or too late coming back from Jandouba, you won't find a ride. If you're too early, all the taxis are in Boursalem still, and they haven't come back. If you're too early, and if you're too late, they've all gone home, and you can't go home. And it's and then you just, like you said, you just have to figure it out. I suppose you've got your brother living there, right?
Well, yes, but his car that he brought from the UK, it has to leave because it can only stay 6 months. Well, he's taking it out. What I've done is, bro, I honestly, I don't think, I wouldn't hesitate to say something as black and white as this. If I can't have a car here, I can't live here.
Really?
Not I can't, but I wouldn't live here. Right.
My daddy's
it's that level, it's that level of inconvenience. But what I've done is, so cars here are very expensive, maybe not quite as expensive as Turkey, but Turkey was mad anyway. What I did was I ordered a car to be imported from China. Because, for example, the car that I bought is a brand new car from China. And the cost of that is cheaper than a 4-year-old car here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's so much demand. The prices are insane. Like, I think the prices have got very inflated because the government has some sort of policy of not letting many cars be imported. And of course, there's only one company that manufactures cars in Algeria in the first place. So I don't know, man. The government might be doing that to encourage factories to open up, but meanwhile people are struggling to buy cars. So so I've ordered that car, but it takes 2-3 months to get here. It takes maybe 40 days on the ship. It takes maybe 30 days to get up through the customs and stuff. So it takes a bit of time. So that's my hope. That's my light at the end of the tunnel, basically. And it's not a Chinese brand. It's Volkswagen brand, but it's just made in China.
Right, you might have to talk me through that, because I suppose you got to pay a lot of tax and stuff on it. Do you earn now?
Yeah, so you pay. It ends up being about 30% of the value of the car, but it still ends up cheaper than buying a car
Yeah.
here.
Especially for that age and stuff. Yeah, I'd like to look into that as well.
And bro, I didn't even want a new car. Like
Mm.
financially, it's never smart to buy a brand new car. You know, you should buy a car maybe 4 years old, all the depreciation's been done to it, and it's still in good shape. But again, that would be more expensive here than a brand new one from China.
You know, my biggest worry, like I rent a lot of cars when I'm in Tunisia and stuff, and I'm not renting like anything high end whatsoever. Like I'm renting some real, you know,
bangers,
stuff sometimes, but it's because of where we live. We don't live in a capital or anything, so there's only one place that rents out cars, and they just do it for weddings and stuff. But my worry is like I'll get it, I'll get the paperwork, and I'm like, oh sweet, okay, let me do this, and then I'll be driving, and I'm thinking, oh wait, if I was to break down here, like I'm in the middle, I'm between Tunis, the Asma, and where I'm from, and I'm like, I look around, it's just all just farmland, fields and stuff, and desert.
Yeah,
I think if I break down, I have no idea what I have to do. I literally don't know what I have to do.
Yeah.
Who's the AA? There's no AA. There's no breakdown company. Who do I? What do I do?
I guess you call the countryside rural police or whatever.
I would just call the person I rented it from. Like I'd just be like, okay,
oh
this
yeah,
is
of course,
what do I do?
Yeah.
But like, you know, practically speaking, like that could take hours. If I've got family and kids in the car and it's the middle of the summer and the heat, and I'm thinking, so I just like, I have to bury the thought. I just bury the thought deep down. I'm like, everything's fine. I tell my family everything's fine. We're just gonna keep going. Alhamdulillah, it's never really happened with me. But you think about these things, you're just like anything can happen, you know.
But I keep thinking about people who can't afford stuff. Like, for example, I was talking about getting cabs and stuff. Some people haven't taken cabs regularly. They can't afford to take cabs regularly, you know. People can't afford whatever. For example, in order to avoid like constantly getting shopping, I would try and buy loads of like a month's worth of meat in one go. So it's just one journey. But other people can't afford to buy a month's worth in one go. So
some people can't afford meat at all, bro.
As well. Bro, I'm going to the butcher. I'm like, can I get 2 kilos of that and 2 kilos of that? Meanwhile, you know, Hajja is coming in and asking for 100 grams. You know,
just for that dinner, and also, some of it is because they can't carry, but some of it is obviously
the level of struggle, bro. When you don't have money, it's really bad. And I think especially in the area I'm in, there seems to be a lot of traffic problems. But obviously that's mostly rush hour. And people are like, you know, I'm plugged into the Algerian Facebook algorithm now, innit? So all I see is people complaining about the traffic, like gridlock, you know, in the morning and the way home. I'm just like, alhamdulillah, I don't have to do that. Like, so, you know,
you're better off with a little moped or something for the time being.
But very dangerous. But
just drive slowly. Just drive a little slowly. Just to carry stuff home.
yeah. I'm just being patient, inshallah, to get the car and stuff. Another difficulty I had was over 3 weeks ago now, I went to get the internet connected. So I went to the company and I paid and they gave me the modem. And now somebody needs to come and install it. And it's been 3.5 weeks. They haven't come. And when I asked them, like when I bought it and I asked them, they said 1-2 weeks. Even that's long, by the way, isn't it? But anyway,
of course.
Then the other day I went to them and I was like, yo, they didn't come still. And then she said, oh, we don't really deal with that. Go to the technical center, but don't tell them that I told you. Yeah. So I went to the technical center, and the technical place is like not for customers really. It's just like people working in the office. So I went in there, and then the guy kind of shoos me away. He's like, we're not open, man. Like, leave us alone. We're trying to work here. So, but then I was like, you know, in those situations, I could have, if you really want to just get your way, you could just barge your way through and just force people to deal with you.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to for some reason. So I just went back outside, and I was outside like looking for cabs or something. And then the guy came out, he felt bad. And then he's like, what's your issue? Then I told him, and then he's like, okay, come in. So then he said, I can't let you in. If you come in, everyone's going to come in. And then he said sorry about 3 times. And then he said, okay, where's your place? What's the thing? Then I gave it to him. And then he printed a paper and he stamped it and he said, yeah, they're going to come. They're going to sort it out. So he put it into a pile. I guess that's the jobs that need to be done or something. But it's been 3 days since then. So I don't know, right?
Inshallah khair, man. Inshallah khair. I mean, you can get a decent amount of data on a hotspot like you're doing now anyway. For the time being.
Yeah, that's kind of affordable, yeah. So
and most
you
people's
always have
internet
to try and
like
find
that,
solutions really and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hopeful that once I have a car, once I have a lot of the necessities, and I build a kind of routine and schedule, inshallah I'll be okay. I actually started thinking more about, okay, what am I going to do with the kids exactly? How are we going to set it up for them so it's good and education, probably.
Can I ask about that? Actually, I just realised. So, is education exactly? I don't think you can homeschool in Algeria as a Algerian citizen.
It's a gray area. Like a lot of people say it's illegal, but it's not illegal. It's just that the law says that children should be in school from this age to this age, or they should receive education, something like that. It's not black and white that homeschooling is like illegal or something.
Right. Okay.
It's just basically it's not recognized at all. Right.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the situation.
I guess you'll have to just don't end up behind bars, bro, because it'd be you escaped the bars of Turkey from being illegal overstayer, and now you're gonna go back home and they're gonna say, what are you doing? But look, you've focused a bit on the negatives. I want to get some positives out of you, bro. Don't make it all traffic.
No, I don't. I didn't think I was doing that. But okay.
No, but like, I want to. Okay, look, you've made it, right? You're always umming and ahhing about Zaire back in the day, and I was bullying you to give it a go. Obviously, it's nothing to do with me that you ended up there. You made that own decision, but. Culturally, how do you feel? How does the family feel? Do you feel more at home? Do you feel like you're fitting in a bit more? You're not being looked at like an outsider, or does it feel like home? Does it feel like home yet?
I mean, more than Turkey for sure.
Yep. Well, in England, even though you spent a little bit of time in England, got to be more than England, surely. What about UAE?
England never felt like home. More than UAE. Yeah, more than any country I've lived in. For sure.
Okay, that's a
bro. I'm taking it for granted that I've just come here a month ago. I'm not even worried. I'm not even thinking for 1 second about, how do I establish my residency permit? Like that's something that I'm taking for granted right now, isn't it?
And I was, I went to did I tell you I went to the Algerian embassy not too long ago?
You did, yeah.
Yeah. Did I mention that it was really big and amazing?
Yeah.
So like, I was thinking like, if they can, I bet you Zaire there's so many things that you just wouldn't expect that there's there, especially if you were to carry on like exploring the center and all this stuff, and there'll be all sorts of things going on once you're a bit more settled.
Yeah. I mean, there are some things, for example, because I'm coming here and I'm a citizen, and I know that if I want to, I could just stay, inshallah. So when I'm like buying furniture or appliances, I'm actually buying stuff that lasts and buying stuff properly and as an investment. And in the long term, that's better financially anyway, because you don't replace it as often and stuff. And you just have that peace of mind that's like, okay, I'm not going to have to like do a flash sale of all this and leave the country,
Yeah, 100%.
So that's one thing. The other thing, I suppose, I went to the Beledia to get some paper and stuff, and I was like, like they have services here that I could get I don't have an ID card yet, so I get my ID card done here. I can even stuff like I could. Okay, this is like a stupid example, but it just came to mind. Like in Turkey, I used to enjoy doing like airsoft, paintball, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if I don't have a big group of friends to go, I can't go. And I'm not going to go with Turkish people because I can't even communicate with them. But here I could do that, right?
100%.
Same with any activity, same with camping or anything, right? So even in the masjid, they have, this is a very positive thing. in that masjid that I mentioned earlier, they have classes every single day. And when I asked about like what kind of activities go on here, the guy took me to the actual sheikh, to his house. And then he was like telling me, yeah, so I teach these 3 classes. No, first he said, what are you looking to like study? And I was like, just maybe tafsir, sirah, maybe hadith, these kind of good reminder type of topics, subjects. And he said, oh, I actually teach, I do sirah class, tafsir, and we do Riyadh Salihin. I was like, perfect. Then I even told him, then he asked me like, oh, where did you come from and why are you here and stuff. And then I told him, and then I did a bit of a check on like what his reaction would be. Because I told him about one of the sheikhs in where I was in Istanbul. I said, I live near that sheikh and he's doing a lot of stuff. And then he's like, oh, really? He said, yeah, I know him. Of course I know him. And he's doing good work. And I was like, okay, these guys are on the manhaj, So that was really good. And then my local masjid has 2 classes a week, Aqidah and Hadith. And they have, every masjid has Hifz for kids. And another nearby masjid, maybe 7-8 minutes drive or something, they have even more classes and classes for women and stuff. So, and this is something I noticed in Algiers, right, in the capital, which is different. The masajid are a lot more, there's no other way to say it. They're more Salafi inclined. Just the way people even pray, the way they're obsessed with like sutra and these types of things. Whereas in more rural areas, there's less of that influence. So it's a good wallah. And the khutbahs, there's been some good khutbahs. Some of the khutbahs are in like Fusha and stuff. So Islamically, bro, is very good in that sense. It's very good, I would say. Even, bro, I didn't send you any of this stuff, but like I was in the gas and electricity company office, like waiting in the 1.5-hour queue. And on the wall, it's just got like, you would imagine nobody that works there has done this. A random guy has come in and he's stuck on the wall, a reminder of, that hadith the Prophet ﷺ said, kalimatan khafifatan ala lisan, thaqilatan inda ar-Rahman. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanallah al-azim. So that was just stuck on the wall. And like, he probably, some guy just stuck it up and then nobody took it down and it's just there, like reminding people. And now, like, again, it depends where you're coming from. In Turkey, impossible, impossible that would be there, right? In Turkey, you might have some random reminders, Azkurullah, that kind of stuff. Of course. You have some people put on their vans, they put like, mashallah, whatever. But this is a next level, I would say. And then even some guy in the queue, like he just sneezed and then everyone's like, alhamdulillah, like this is not unheard of in Turkey. It's very good in that sense for sure. Even I had a beef with a guy, okay? So by the way, customer service, it does not exist in Algeria, right? I think you're gonna hear that. I went to a shop and I bought something and then it was expensive, right? And I bought it. And then I realized there was something wrong with it. Not there's something wrong with it, but I don't want that thing that has that. So I went back to the shop because this shop even gave me a receipt and it said you have the right to return it within 3 days and all that. So I went to the shop and I said, I want to return it. And then they said, okay. So they took it and they just checked it was okay. And they said, oh, it looks like you used it. And I said, yeah, I used it once. When I used it once, I realized I don't want that thing. And then they're like, oh, we can't take it back then. And I was like, so then I beefed them basically. But the thing is, I'm like, they're like, yeah, this is our policy. If you used it, then we don't take it back. And then I was like, that's not logical because sometimes you're going to use something, maybe once, maybe twice, and then you realize you don't want it. If I knew I didn't want it, I wouldn't have bought it in the first place, right? And I said, it's not logical. Then this is where the customer service comes in. He's like, you just think that's not logical because it serves you. Imagine saying that to a customer in the UK. I was like, this is funny. Anyway, I didn't take it personally or anything. I was just like telling him like, no, this is no good. I'm like, And I'm like, you know what? I bought stuff from you, and I'm probably gonna keep buying from you. But the way you're dealing with this right now, it's not. It doesn't. It's not gonna work out. So anyway, after I put pressure, then he said, look, I'll ask the boss when he comes, and I'll let you know. So again, in Turkey, I wouldn't be able to beef them, you know. But
no, of course, you've got that luxury of language now.
Yeah. So one thing that he said, this is what I was saying about the the awareness of Allah and stuff, is I said to him, I said, I could have like wiped it and cleaned it, and you wouldn't have known that I used it, and then you would have just taken it back. Like I was trying to tell him that the use of it was so little that I could have concealed it, but whatever, I didn't bother. And he said, yeah, but what would you say to Allah then?
Yeah, true. Oh, bro, you see, this is it. Like, this is where it is, though, isn't it? Because, Turkey, as even if that did exist, 9 times out of 10, you wouldn't even notice because it's not in a language that you can understand. You might not pick up on it. Obviously, you're going to know the key things like alhamdulillah, all this. But listening to people's conversations, and that feeling, that environment, like Istanbul is Istanbul, and a lot of people talk about Istanbul, and I think it's because there's a lot of symbolism in Istanbul and a lot of heritage, Islamic heritage in Istanbul. Well, obviously other places as well. But when I went to Zaire, like you said, I felt, and Algerians in general, they have this like zeal for Deen, even if they are, they appear to be or do actions that are distant from the Deen. The moment Deen comes into the conversation, most of the time they're fierce in their ambition to adhere and their ambition to, and you can't replicate that anywhere else, really. Especially the fact that you're Algerian yourself. Like, you're not going to really get that being a visitor somewhere else.
Like being here, that's why I need to try and keep reminding myself, I'm here, inshallah, for the sake of Allah. Like, I'm putting up with all these, no doubt about it, bro. There's no way around it. Materially, it's worse than any country I've lived in, right? I've lived in Saudi, I've lived in UAE, I lived in Turkey, I lived in the UK. Materially, it's worse. Even with money, there are some things money can't change, right?
Yeah, of course.
But that's not why I'm here, right? Inshallah, I'm here because I think it's a good environment. Islamically, it's good for the kids to grow up with that, general culture around them. And then obviously you have to have your own, company, keep good company yourself, and make sure your kids, because there are messed up people in Algeria for sure. But the general culture is better than a lot of other general cultures. And then you pick your bubble and you pick your kids' friends as well. And then you have, Noor ala Noor, you have good general culture, and then you have good company as well. Inshallah, that's what we're trying to do, man.
Inshallah. Rabbi sahal lak, and Allah give you a long life. And you could have a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, 20-year plan. Like, you might do the next 5 years in this city, and with the car and everything, and they're like, okay, do you know what? We're going to be here long term. Let's start thinking about routes. And you might want to, I don't know, look into purchasing land or building a property or buying a property, maybe somewhere a bit more rural, maybe somewhere a bit more close by to the city, like travel distance to the city. Like, that's how I would live it. Living central city, I don't think I could do it in a Muslim country or, like North Africa. Apart from like Laraish in Morocco is just very nice. Where we're from, and that's where Mum's
not that big, right?
But even they built, because they're originally from a place called Nin, which is like a very small village, and they instead of like really investing heavily into the Laraish, they've actually built out the rural house, and that's where they spend most of their time now. Because yes, there's a souk every whatever day, and there might be a little corner shop here and there, but that's the peace. That's where you find the peace and the real fruits of that kind of life. And I think, yes, you've planted yourself in the city because you need to kind of gain the access to all those services and stuff. If you live far away and you have to go, I need to go get my ID card from this place, or I need to go, once all of that's done, think about it. Like, think about maybe a day in your life where you might have like a little house somewhere a little bit rural, maybe a few chickens and that, and most things are taken care of. You've got decent internet, even if it's Starlink or something similar. I don't know. Because you have to, you buy and sell with that stuff. You're like, okay, I live rural, but I've got rubbish internet. I can't work. And, getting away from all that kind of, what do they call it? I can't remember what the word for traffic is. They usually use a French word. Circulation. That's what it is. Anyway, so obviously you're gonna have, if you're gonna be there for good, like think about it, inshallah. You're gonna think about it. I'm just speaking for the listeners. Like, you're not having to worry about, if I invest into this place. It's like when you rent a property. Like when I rent a house, I'm like, do I really want to, I'd love to knock this wall down so I can, like, we've got here, even we've got like a toilet and a bathroom that's separate. And yes, it's good to do that, but the toilet ends up being really small. And I'm like, I'd love to knock this wall down. It's like, I could spend a lot of money knocking this wall down, but I don't own this place. And one day when I leave it, I'm going to be annoyed that I spent money knocking it all down. I could have done elsewhere, So stuff like that all the time. Like, my aunt and uncle lived in a sort of house here for maybe 15 years or so. And just out of the blue, they've been told to leave. They've had to leave. And it's like, oh man, like I forgot that that's a thing. I forget that. And it's sad because even like my kids and stuff, like we've moved like 3 times since we've had kids, or 4 times if you count living with my mum. Everywhere we've lived, they've got there's nothing solid that they can hold and grab and stuff, apart from what we've got in Tunisia. But then I look at home videos of Tunisia where we live, and like, I show my kids, I'm like, look, the house hasn't changed at all. Like, it's exactly the same as it was 20 years ago. Maybe because we haven't done much development. But like, it's like, that's like, you could see the history in the walls there. You could see, that's where my dad used to sit and sleep or whatever. Or that's where my granddad might have been, or that's where my grandmother. And it's like this heritage, this history. And you're on the cusp of, inshallah, building that. And I think that's beautiful. And I think, there's so much opportunity. Like, you're seeing the room for improvement now. You're like, this should be better. This should be good. But you feel like you're giving into a community that you belong to now. It's not like Turkey, where, unfortunately, whatever you've given into Turkey, you've had to leave behind. Even if you'd given some charity or something, of course, your reward is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you can't see the fruits of that, and your kids can't benefit of that. And whatever community they built up there has now been lost. And it's like you've cut the umbilical cord on topic. It's just have a kid. But yeah, I'm really excited for you, bro. I'm really happy, and and may Allah make it easy. And there's going to be teething problems, no doubt. You're in the first month or 2, of course, but I think it could have been much worse. You could have been,
definitely,
it could have been much worse. SubhanAllah. 100%.
So 100%. Alhamdulillah, yeah, it's a good one. Of course, I would eventually look to buying somewhere. I don't know where or how, but I don't know. I feel, again, like, compared to Turkey, I feel like I have more options, I guess, just because of the language, really. For example, I'm thinking of getting a water filtration system installed. So to do that, of course, you can do that in Turkey as well, but I just always felt like a barrier. But here, there's less barrier. I could just call a plumber and say, do you know how to install it? And then they can install it, 100%. Of course, on the flip side, you could say, well, for example, this is a good example. In Turkey, I went there. This was the first few months of being in Turkey. I went to the telecom provider, and I signed up for internet. And this was in the early days, so I had very little Turkish. And they gave me the contract. I signed it. They even said it's a 2-year contract. I said, could you do a 1 year? And then they said, yeah. Like, I was able to change that. And then the next day they came and installed it in 5 minutes, and it was done. Versus here, I queued for about half an hour. I queued for half an hour. Then they said, we need this like code that's on your box thing in your building. So then I had to go and then come back, and then I queued again for like 10 minutes. And then I signed up for it, but then 3 weeks later, they've still not done it. So
there is the language helps, but then sometimes the quality of the work is lower than Turkey. So whatever. But if I think about like building a house or something like that, yeah, it seems more possible here for sure. Obviously, because of the citizenship element, and because you could imagine that, you know, if over the years of living here, you come across people who are good, serious workers, then you could take advantage of that and do something that you would like. Yeah, I think there's a lot of, you know, next to Algiers on the west, for example, there's Tipaza Wilaya province or whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of nice stuff going on over there in terms of it's quieter, smaller, and there's obviously open space, rural space. On the east side, there's Bulmardez, and then after that, there's Tizi Ouzou. So there's stuff. I want to maybe go hiking or something in Tizi Ouzou, you know, in those mountainous areas.
Bro, that's where my in-laws are from, and you know, I've got in-laws that are. My in-laws are like very diverse in the sense of age as well. Like I've got uncles that are, you know, 30s, 40s, 50s, and then I've got youngers that are maybe younger than me, younger than you, around our age as well. I've got some that work in government, and you know, got high positions. Some are pharmacists, some are this, some of that, and it's like a big. So if you're ever like stuck for something or want to know something or want to speak to someone local or whatever it is, or want to go to even Tizi Ouzou and have someone with you, because it's more Qabel country, I suppose, isn't it? Bro, like I could put you in touch with anyone, and I think in like a few years or a few months even, when you've got like a close knit of friends and people you can trust, people you can talk to and get advice from, it's going to be absolutely transformative, because you're just going to have connections. Like that's the thing about North Africa. Without connections, it can be difficult, you know, and I'm still leaning on the connections my dad had and the goodwill that people had towards my dad to get stuff done a lot of the time. But I am like transitioning into this kind of, like, I don't like sitting with people. I don't like talking to people because I've got a history of like, a lot of people kind of just wanted me for my Britishness, like, oh, help me get this and send me this thing. And I became a bit tired of that. And I kind of pulled myself back from a lot of people for years. And then my dad died. I'm like, oh God, now I know no one. You know? And it's like, oh, how do I do this? Like I said before, like it hit me when I was waiting at the roundabout, waiting for a lift, and my dad would get one like this, because 9 times out of 10, people driving past, they'd know him. Nobody knew who I was. And I was there for like 30 minutes, just like trying to figure out what to do. So, inshallah, when you build that, it's going to be, you know, it's going to be a time, inshallah, where the local area will know your name, and your kids, when they're older, they'll be like, oh, I'm with the Flen, you know. They're like, oh, yeah, I know CME, oh, he's amazing. Yeah, he's great. He's a good man. Yeah, what do you need? Blah, blah, blah. And that's what you're going to want for them. You're going to want to establish yourself so that, inshallah, one day, if you're not around, they can pick up where you left off. And I think it's beautiful, bro. You've done the hard work, wallahi al-azim, and if it wasn't going to be you that goes back, it'd be even more difficult for Wuladik to go back one day, you know.
That's also the good thing, is that we're going at a time when the kids are young still, because I could imagine moving here from Turkey, or not just Turkey, it's specifically like Istanbul, like the most developed part of Turkey, moving here with like a 15-year-old, like that would be tough. But my kid, the age where they're just like, yeah, it is what it is. It's fine. It's
they'll speak and read and write Arabic with literally no effort, inshallah. You know, effortless.
Yeah, and even my kids, although they don't speak, my kids don't speak like Darija pretty much at all. Yeah. But I sent my son to the shop for the first time. Was it yesterday? 2 days ago, because the shop like closes. You don't need to cross any roads or anything, and at least I can send him to the shop, for example, and he'll speak to them in Fusha, but they'll still get it, innit? It's not like 100%. He's going to a Turk and he doesn't speak any Turkish. Like, you know, he's gonna be weird because he's speaking Fusha at the same time. And a lot of people find it like funny. Like my cousin's kids, they were playing with my kids, and they were like, for them it was like a cartoon, you know, that they did watch.
I remember
like,
when I went
practicing the Arabic they have to use in school and stuff.
I vividly remember being around like 7 or 8 when I first moved to Tunisia to go to school there, and I was so anxious to go to school because I spoke a bit. I must have spoken, Arabic, Derja and stuff. But I had this thing in my head where I thought everybody in school or outside of my family spoke Fusha, like the TV. So I was like, oh, mum, I'm not going to be able to speak to them. Mum, I can't. They're all going to be speaking. I don't understand. Like, I can't speak it. I've watched Captain Majid and I watched Akhbar Ma'akum and all this stuff. And I remember that first day of school going there and all these like kids like surrounded me because I was a new kid and they were all speaking Derja just like my family was. And I was like, oh, this is fine. You know what I mean? Like, I can speak these people. It's fine. So yeah, as a kid, I can imagine like being a bit nervous and stuff. Your kids, Yanni, being a bit nervous and stuff. But like quickly, I think they're just gonna really settle and suddenly the world's gonna open up for them, inshallah. And they're gonna be telling you stuff like, "Oh, Dad, there's this over here," and there's, do you know what I mean? Like,
by the way, my neighbor is Tunisian. Like
there you go.
So my neighbor is his wife is Tunisian. He's Algerian, but he lived in Tunisia for 7 years.
Oh, okay. Amazing.
Yeah. Like I think he was born and raised in France. Then he did hijrah to Tunisia and he was in Tunisia for 7 years. And then I said, why did you leave Tunisia then to come here? And he said, they started harassing me about my beard and they started cutting down on the Islamic practice and my wife wears niqab and this and that. He said, it was, I don't know, it was big enough of an issue where he left. And he said, his neighbor who is Tunisian, moved here as well now. And I asked him separately, I was like, oh, why did you leave Tunisia? He said, here is better for your religion and this and that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
And
I didn't know
look
that level, but
look how, like you said about the masjid you went to and the classes and all that stuff. And look how, I mean, I'm sure there is pressure sometimes, of course, but look how free they are to just operate, you know, and that's something I think we take for granted and something actually we underestimate when we think about, I think maybe Allah Alam, you might have underestimated that about Algeria because a lot of people focus on, like we've mentioned before, focus on the hukum, oh, this ruler or that ruler, or this government operates like this, so the whole country must be whatever. But when I was in Algeria, like I said, I was just like, just seeing how many people walking around with thobes and seeing how many people walking around with beards and going to their masjid and listening to a khutbah that was borderline political. And I was just like, oh, wow. Like I'm not expecting no military, whatever, gendarmerie to just barge in or anything, but it's pretty cool that they've got a level of freedom where they can tell the people what they need to hear about their religion, generally speaking. And then likewise in Tunisia, like I've realized Tunisia, generally, at least I've experienced firsthand is that you're okay if you just kind of keep your head down and not cause a scene. And some people I've noticed aren't really capable of practicing Islam in a way that can keep them out of, the sights of authorities. Yeah, like, I go to the masjid, I pray, I might do a hifd thing or whatever. I come back, look after my family. But to go somewhere and then start speaking and trying to do something a bit more, that then starts putting eyes on you, and and that's. But a hot-headed Algerian that wants. I don't know your neighbor, but I'm saying hypothetically, putting up that poster on that Beladia, whatever it was, saying, "Oh, a little hadith," that could probably be an issue because who are you to put that up? And anyway, it can be like that. So you've just got to know your surroundings, and I think, alhamdulillah, Zaid, I think you're not going to have an issue with that. Just don't go knocking on someone's door demanding, I don't know, some sort of right or something. I don't know.
I did have thoughts about. I was going to Jumu'ah. And there's a cafe and it's like open and there's people sitting there. I'm like, I should have a word.
You're gonna find that. But you gotta wait, bro. Thing is, bro, inshallah, I mean, Ramadan will be soon. It's gonna be, inshallah, you have your car then, so you can do your qadiyah, you can do your tarawih, you can have the real. And also, I'm trying to. I mean, I don't know if it'll be this summer or next summer. I'm trying to sort of save up for my army of a family to go to Algeria. Whether it's I go to Tunis and come to Algeria, whether I just go straight to Algeria, I don't know. But we haven't been in a long time, and I owe my wife that trip because we've got to kind of take it in turns. But we've gone to Tunisia, we've gone to Morocco, went to Algeria once. and inshallah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
So if I'm in,
I think with 4 kids and all that, you got the big car in it, so you're actually probably reaching that point where it might be cheaper to drive, maybe.
possibly. Either way, like Algiers is where we would be. We've got family there. We'll see what the future holds.
We'll do a podcast in person.
But yeah, bro, like I said, me and you in North Africa, it'd be insane. I'd love to be amazing. And it's likewise in Tunis as well. Like if I'm ever in Tunis, maybe there's a train now that goes straight to Algiers. I'd jump on, and I want to do that. I've been dying to do that. So yeah, I think I'm running out of time now. Amazing to hear, alhamdulillah. And I'm hoping to hear more cool stories of your new life in Algiers.
Inshallah, yeah.
Have you had a moment of any reconsideration, like, oh no, what have I done? Or has it all been?
Not that strong. It's more. It's not, because you can't have those thoughts. Like, that's just dumb, frankly. When you, I guess, because I'm somebody who doesn't act spontaneously, right? So if I came here, it means that I came here after thinking about it. And if I came here as well, I always told myself, you can't make a long-term decision until you've been here 1-2 years. So I've got my blinders on until it's been a year or two, And but I have been thinking about how I'm gonna do the whole thing here with the kids and homeschooling. That's one thing I'm thinking. I've been thinking, how's that gonna work? That's one thing. The other thing I've been thinking is, I think I should like travel a bit more than I usually would or something. I think I need to, if I stay here long term, I need to keep exposing myself to other parts of the world, just to, I don't know, keep my standards high. Maybe that's a way of saying it. Because my friend told me my friend who lives in Egypt, he said he went to Dubai recently, just for help his dad with something. And he was there for 3 days. And he said, but in those 3 days, I met all these friends he has there. And he's like, I realized, they're doing all these big things. They're trying to like grow businesses, or they're trying to do dawah and this and that. And he's like, to be honest, I forgot all of that. Like, I'm just in Egypt, in my bubble, in my day-to-day life. I'm not really living in an area where I mix with many like tulab ilm or anything. And he's like, so he said, I realize I need to expose myself to that stuff now and then. So I want to arrange that. Obviously, when I get a car, when I'm more settled. One of the reasons I wanted to live in the capital is because the airport, the airport's like 20 minutes from me. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's options, isn't there? There's options. I was thinking, my options have increased now that I'm a Moroccan citizen officially. Like, I'm registered now, which I never was before. We're getting, inshallah, we're going to start the process of getting the kids Algerian citizenship, because I think they've already got Tunisian, so Tunisian, Algerian, I think is priority. But now I'm thinking, hey, I just pursue this Moroccan citizenship as well and get the kids that. And I'll give them all these options. And then I just looked up now, like, I could possibly get Algerian citizenship through my wife if I went down a really long process, which is like kind of being
really, even without living here.
Anywhere. Oh no, I have to live there for 2 years, which isn't me.
Okay. Yeah, they have that. Whether the mother can easily give citizenship to her kids. In some countries, that's not always easy.
Yeah, that's how it happened. So I got that. That's how I got my Moroccan one, through my mother.
But my neighbor is living here, and his wife is on a residency permit, whatever it's called.
Right.
And he said it's fine. He said they give her a year and just renew it and stuff. And then the other guy that I said, the Tunisian guy that moved here, he said doesn't have family who are Algerian or anything. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to get a residency card and stuff. So yeah, there definitely aren't many foreigners here whatsoever. But I guess the most foreigners here are maybe Syrians.
Really?
Maybe there are also North Africans. But no, there aren't many Syrians. But I'm just saying, that's maybe you kind of come across them sometimes. That's why when people find my accent weird, they're like, are you Syrian? Yeah.
I mean, when I'm in Tunis, most foreigners are Algerian.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We had a
probably.
big
I mean,
pilgrimage.
I heard there's Moroccans here that come here for work, and yeah, I guess Tunisians, maybe Libyans as well. Maybe depends on the area exactly.
Yeah. It's beautiful, bro. You know what? At the end of the day, we're all similar people, aren't we? You know, I found that out when I got married. It's like, oh, and there's this beautiful. I came across this just this scene when we were rewatching our wedding video, and it's like my wife's home that night, and she's got her grandma, you know, old school Algerian Qabail lady doing henna on one hand, and she's got my grandma, old school Moroccan lady doing a henna on the other hand. And I screenshot, send it to my family. I said, look, we're uniting. Look at these old schoolers uniting North Africa, squashing the beef.
Yeah.
I thought it was beautiful. You know, it actually made me think, because I always joke about uniting North Africa, but then when you see it like that, like, because I didn't have any Tunisian side of the family, unfortunately, at my wedding, because it was all in England. It was all Moroccan side, and my grandmother from Morocco came. But just seeing that view and seeing that sight, and how across my family we've got that diversity now. You know, like one of my best friends is Libyan, you know, and he comes over to the house a lot, and he's very he loves Libya, and he talks about it all the time. It's just seeing how similar, and he sends me pictures of he's like thinking of moving to Libya. He's built something there already, like Imara and all this stuff that he's, you know, he's just thinking that way. And it's like, oh, we really are just the same people with these very superficial borders. And, you know, you'll come from a Western Algeria that might be more closer to Morocco. You know, my wife's got family that are close to the Tunisian border, and when I met them, they were literally speaking Tunisian to me, you know, and like looking at the cuisines as well and how the similarities. And my wife's like, oh, I don't know what that food is, and then I look at it, I'm like, oh, they've got this in this side of Algeria, it's the same as us. Or, you know, my Libyan friend, he was like, oh, I really want to have this dish called rishta. And he's talking about it, and I was like, I swear I just had that last week because my in-laws brought it from Algeria, and bro, we are the same people with just superficial differences and cultural variances that really, and it's beautiful. Wallahi, it's beautiful. May Allah keep us united and keep us in good spirits with each other.
Actually, you know, rishta, I never had rishta before because they don't have it in the West. But when I stayed in the Airbnb, when I first got here, the lady there that was like, because basically they have like a villa, and then they have an underground part of the house, which is like the Airbnb. So we were staying there, and she literally brought us a rishta. That was like the first time I ever had it. And she brought us a rishta with like packed with meat. And so I was like, whoa, that's generous, mashallah. So I had the rishta, and you told me a few weeks ago about mtuwam. And again, I never heard of that.
Really?
Well, I had it here because I was in a restaurant, and then I asked the guy, like, you know, one of those restaurants, like shabby kind of restaurants, where there's no menu. There's no menu. So I'm like, what do you have? And then he just listed about 20 things, and I heard them to him. I'm like, yalla, let me taste that.
I've think about that a couple times. How'd you find it? Or...
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was kind of, it didn't taste very garlicky to me, but yalla.
Alhamdulillah. Just before I go, it's my wife obviously wanted to mention, some of you may know my father-in-law was diagnosed with lung cancer not too long ago. And it's quite severe and quite late stage. But my wife wanted to start a Sadaqa Jariyah fundraiser for him, which is doing quite well. But I promised I would share it on the podcast. So if you go on my Twitter or DM me or whatever it is, you can find the link, inshallah. We're just trying to, depending on how much we raise, it's either going to be, you know, water well projects, or are you going to masjid or something like that. So those are the sort of things we're aiming to do. But any du'as you can make, inshallah, please do. You know, it's crazy. We've all got some, you know, you with your mother, me with my father. My uncle passed away in June from lung cancer, funnily enough. And now my father-in-law has been diagnosed. So it's ravaging through the ecosystem, subhanAllah. May Allah grant him shifa. May Allah grant all the Muslims shifa that are suffering, and grant them Jannat al-Firdaus, those who have sadly left us. But yeah, I just wanted to share that, inshallah.
Allah mashfi shifa and ikram. Yeah, but I think the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that said, heal your sick, heal your ill with sadaqah. So, you know, giving sadaqah on behalf of someone is a way to bring them a cure. And
inshallah.
Inshallah,
Well, it's,
inshallah.
yeah, it's inshallah healing and also, sadaqah jariyah. So may Allah accept it and give him a life full of barakah. Whatever he's got left of his life, whether it's 20 years or 20 weeks. Yeah, may Allah like keep him guided and keep him firm on Islam.
Alhamdulillah. Ameen. Ameen. Barakallahu fikum. Ameen from Algiers signing off with a Shraka Kho. And
Yes.
someone said that to me yesterday. I was out somewhere, just must have thought I was Algerian. I was like, I can be wherever you want me to be. Anyway, yeah. And me from the United Kingdom. Maybe next episode we'll talk about there was an arson attack locally here.
I heard about that.
That was my local mission, bro. When I used to live.
I didn't know it was that close. I knew it was in the general area.
Yeah, I used to go there. I've got pictures there. I used to go there all the time when I lived next door. So yeah, we'll talk about the next episode, inshallah. They've arrested someone, but we'll see what the situation is, inshallah. Yallah.
Okay. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.